Wes Montgomery was one of the most influential guitarists in all of jazz history, and in today's lesson, I'm going to share with you some of the Wes secrets that I discovered that literally changed my playing and also changed how I hear harmony. Let's get into it right now. So the first Wes Montgomery concept that really changed how I play was his use of minor guitar shapes. These shapes not only help me simplify complex chord changes, but really help me play a lot more melodically. So for example, let's take this shape. I learned this from his solo on Trick Bag off his record Boss Guitar, but essentially what it taught me was that this guitar shape could be played over pretty much any chord. Think about G7 for example. So if G7 was our 5 chord in a 2-5-1, what would the 2 chord of that progression be? D minor, right? So what Wes does is he plays D minor 7 instead of playing G7, and it really makes it a lot more colorful. So check it out, if I played the arpeggio of G7 over the chord G7, it'll sound okay. But if I played the arpeggio of a D minor 7 chord over a G7, it'll be a lot more colorful. Not only that, but Wes likes to add extra colors to these guitar shapes as well. So Wes will put the 9 into his guitar chord shapes, and it'll sound like this. Or he'll put the 9 and the 11 in and make it sound like this. Alright, now let's take this to the next level. We can take these minor guitar chord shapes and play them over major chords, and weirdly enough, play them over other minor chords. So over a major chord, we could take this same shape, but start it off the 6th or the 3rd of that chord. So for example, over C major 7, we could play the shape off of A. Or if we wanted to make it really spicy, we could play it off of the E. Now for a minor chord, we can play this shape off the 5th of that chord. So if we had a D minor 7, we could of course play this shape off of A, and we would get this. Knowing all this not only helps us play more melodically, but also makes things a little bit simpler to solo over. We don't have to play all the changes in a 2-5-1 now. Wes shows us that we can play just one of these shapes over all the chords in 2-5-1. So for example, if we're in C, we could just play the shape off A, and all the notes would really work over all these changes. Or maybe we could play the shape off of D for the 2 and the 5 chord, and then switch it to the shape off of E for the 1 chord, which might sound like this. We can also combine these shapes with jazz language that we already know. Here are a couple examples. Now the second group of Wes Montgomery concepts that changed my playing are his use of major guitar shapes. The idea is the same as the previous concept, but now with major. Take this line. This is a classic Wes major 9 shape. This shape could of course be played over F major 7, but it could also be played over D minor 7, G7, and B flat major 7. We could also play this same shape off the note C, and that would allow us to play over chords D minor and G7. If we wanted to simplify a 2-5-1, let's use a 2-5-1 in the key of C, for example. Then we could just play this shape off of C major, and it would work over all our chords in the key of C in our 2-5-1 progression. Or we could play the shape off of F, and that would get us the shapes over the 2 and the 5 chord. And then when we hit the 1 chord, we could play this shape off of G, which would give us a Lydian sound over that 1 chord. Now, to tie both of these concepts together, Wes would often mix the major and the minor shapes together to create some really awesome lines. So if we had D minor 7, for example, we could play the major shape off of F, and then the minor shapes off of course, D, and then off the 5th, right, A minor. Over G dominant 7, we could play the major shapes off of F and off of C, and then play a minor shape off of D. Lastly, for our 1 chord, our C major 7, we could of course play our major shape off of C, but we could play minor shapes off of A and off of E. Learning just a couple of these Wes shapes can really improve not only your melodic playing, but your sense of how you hear harmony. I want to close this lesson with a short etude over the first A section of the Great Song Tune-Up. I'm going to try to implement all the Wes shapes that we learned in this lesson. If you want the PDF for not only this etude, but all the examples in this lesson, make sure to check out my Patreon, which you can find in the video description below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video about Wes Montgomery concepts that changed my playing. There's so much stuff to talk about with Wes, so if you really like this kind of lesson, make sure to let me know in the comments and I'll do more lessons based off Wes's ideas. If you like what you're seeing, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out and it's free, so it doesn't cost you anything and it's honestly one of the best things you can do. Besides, of course, the Patreon. Wink, wink. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always keep swinging.